Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of my podcast. Today's podcast is entitled The Cycle Continues. And as usual, I will start this podcast off with a quote. Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. And that's a quote by G. Michael Hopf. I mean, it makes a lot of sense when you think about it. I mean, it's 110% the truth. And the way that the author was trying to apply this quote was basically to sum up the cyclical tongue twister early on, the cyclical nature of history. How basically we see the rise and fall of societies, and basically it can be attributed to this cycle in one way or another. And we can see throughout history and with many great societies, basically any great society that's been, you know, documented throughout history, Rome, Greece, Sparta, France, and many more that I'm not going to go into right now. But basically, if you open up any history book, the pages will be littered with societies that were at one point great and ultimately met their demise basically because of this cycle here in some form or another. Times are good. Because times are good, they either got cocky or let their guard down, and that resulted in their downfall. And we can see the spiral as it unfurls. And like I always say, everything is related. Everything is everything. So as in the macro, so in the micro. As in the large aspect or the grand scheme of things, so in the small part of things. Our lives aren't, countries or nations or anything like that, but our internal environment and, our bodies, our minds, what we think and stuff like that. It can fall prey to this same cycle. So, you go from a place to where you have comfort and you don't have to struggle, and things come to you easily, and you wake up feeling confident about yourself. The world feels confident about you. People are gassing you up, telling you the things that you need and want to hear. And that creates a comfort level if you're not careful. And then we get sucked into that comfort level, and then over time, we slip up. We're too cocky, too confident. We don't expect things to happen to us that are just a normal part of life. It doesn't mean you're a good or a bad person. It's just life. It just is what it is. And because of that miscalculation, it results in harder times. And it's just something we all fall prey to if we're not careful and we're not cautious about how we're living our life, and being aware of our surroundings, both physically and in like a spiritual sense, and in a mental sense, like what we're reading, what we're listening to, what we're allowing to come into our body through our senses, through our five senses. If we look over our lives, more often than not, our struggles come from a place of prior comfort. And because of a lack of discipline, unforeseen factors, or a host of other reasons, our comfort then becomes our downfall. Basically, what we were just discussing. If you look over your life, and I did this with myself, the problems that you have faced in the past or that you currently may be facing, you could almost trace them all to some form of comfort. Money was getting good. You were eating constantly. You were always laying down in a warm bed. You didn't have to worry about, where you were going to sleep, what you were going to eat. You didn't have to worry about, how you can get from A to B. You have a vehicle now, or you're able to afford gas on a consistent basis. Whatever it may be, you have established a new norm, a new comfort level. And that comfort level creates a air of, laziness or lack of caution, to where you feel that if I could just maintain this level, or if I stay where I'm at, I'm good. Life is good. I'll be good as long as I can maintain where I'm at. But nothing stays the same. It's either getting better or it's getting worse. Nothing stays the same. And it may seem like it's staying the same over a period of time, but eventually, one way or another, for some unforeseen circumstance or miscalculation in judgment or whatever the cause may be, nothing stays the same. It's either going to get better or it's going to get worse. And again, if we take a look over our lives and over the situation from beginning to end, if we kind of just detach ourselves and float above from the situation and just look down at the situation and be objective, we'll be able to see these connections and be able to make these connections, not from a place of emotion, but from a place of logic. Like, not from a why does this happen to me, I'm a good person type of rationale, but from an objective, almost like a satellite view of the problem from beginning to end. How could I have contributed to this for the outcome to be better? Just taking complete ownership of your problems, of your life. Being uncomfortable was something that was a constant part of my life from about the age of 19 to 25. And then my efforts started to be rewarded. So from the age of 19 to 25, I say in my life, this is my personal story, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate. But from about the time that I got out of high school and I was on my own, I went away to a boarding school, so I was on my own, but my parents still had a large impact and a large influence in my life. However, when I graduated high school, I was on my own. Like, I stepped into adulthood full blown, taking responsibility for everything, carrying the full weight of my choices and my decisions on my shoulders. So from the point in time that I left high school up until about 25, I was riding a struggle bus like a lot of people are, or like a lot of people were. I was going to college, I was balancing a job, and I didn't have the luxury to where I could just go to college and not have to worry about paying bills or have to worry about working a job. So I had to work a job because I did have bills and I was supporting myself. So I had to rush from college all the way to work, and basically with no break. So college would go from, I don't know, 8 in the morning till about 12 or 2 in the afternoon. And then I would have to hop on my motorcycle or my car or get in my car and drive all the way, I believe it was 3 towns or 3 cities over, in order to clock in for my job. And I would, on a consistent, basis, just barely get there in time, just because of traffic lights and whatever. No matter how early I left, I would just barely get there. And the place that I work had a real strict attendance policy, so I couldn't miss work for anything. Like, I couldn't clock in late. Like, all forms of tardiness or absence was unacceptable. And fortunately enough, I only got written up one time in reference to my tardiness. But again, that just goes to show, how the times that we live in and that the trials that we face, shape us to be a certain type of person, to be a certain hardness or toughness or have a certain quality about us, because as human beings, we shape to our environments. We may bend, we may flex, but we don't break. In most circumstances, sometimes we break. There's nothing wrong with that. It happens. Everybody has a breaking point, and it's different for everybody. But sometimes we bend, sometimes we break, but it's not so much about that. It's about your resiliency and how you bounce back and your persistence and how you get back up and get back in the fight. And some of us lose our flexibility or our ability to not break as easy because our efforts get rewarded. As I started getting closer to 25, I started finding jobs with better benefits, jobs that were more stable, jobs that had the potential to shift from just being a job like, hey, I'm probably going to quit in less than a year, to something that had more of a career focus. And I started getting comfortable. I started getting lackadaisical. I let my guard down, not in the sense of like safety or anything like that, but I let my guard down as far as like that dog mentality. Like, I got to get it how I live. I got to constantly be planning my next move. I can't afford to take any days off. It was just a different mentality between 19 to 25-year-old Chase to 25, 30-year-old Chase. Has just been a totally different experience. Not to say that I haven't kept that dog mentality and from that period of 25 to 30, it's just changed. You know what I'm saying? It's not it's just not the same. I'm not in the military like I was during that time period. I have a steady job. I have other things that contribute to, just a different style of living. And different doesn't mean weak. Different doesn't mean bad. Different just means different. So I attack my challenges and the hurdles that I face in a different way. But different isn't bad. It's just different. It's a different dog. That's all that is a different dog. So this is what I think David Goggins and so many others mean when they say that we have to seek and stay in a constant state of discomfort. And this goes back to a few podcasts ago. For those who listen to my podcasts on a regular basis, I was talking about a training that I underwent. And I had been basically training for like the better part of a year just to attend this training that was, basically a day long. And I had got my body into shape. I had got my mind into shape. My spirit was good. I was all present. I was all there. And I went through this tryout, and it wasn't the most difficult thing I did, but it was the most uncomfortable I've been in a while. It was just a constant state of being uncomfortable. And to be honest, I liked it because it was the first time in a long time that I had been that level of uncomfortable, and it caused me to retreat in myself and to pull on parts of my characteristics of myself, of who I am, that I had developed all throughout my life and that I haven't used in a long time. Like they stayed dormant. Again, I got too comfortable. I got cushy, or life got cushy. And it just caused me to go into another like gear or another section of my consciousness. And it was nice to know that those aspects of my personality, those aspects of my characteristics are still there. They may be buried, or they may have been buried, but they're still there. I've since brought them back up to the surface, and I'm using them I'm trying to use them on a daily basis. Again, I'm not living in the same setting, so it's not required that they're, out in the forefront of my personality every single day, but I still do rely on them because it's a part of who I am. It's a part of a part of what makes me who I am, and the characteristics that ultimately I like. It's not anything that's detrimental to me or my family, but they're positive aspects of my personality that I developed in struggle, and I feel that would benefit me currently in this different fight with this different dog. And this, I've said all of this to get to basically this one point, that this war against comfort is just, this battle against comfort is just another piece of the war against myself. We need to be in a constant state of war against ourselves, trying to figure out, what's holding us back, figure out what we need to push to the forefront of our personality, of ourselves, in order to get forward. Just dissecting ourselves and approaching ourselves from all different angles, seeing what we can better do to get us to achieve our goals. Because ultimately, like I say in every podcast, the only part of the equation that's going to be the same all the way throughout all your struggles, all the way to the end of your life, is going to be you. You might not be able to control all the other circumstances and things that happen to you, but at the end of the day, you'll be able to control you, your internal environment, the decisions you make, the self-talk that you participate in with yourself, your emotions, your perspective of things. You can control all of those things. And in turn, your ability to control those things will help you control your world. Not the world, but your world. How you see things, how you respond to things, and basically how you maneuver through life. So it's important that we are constantly going to war with ourselves in efforts to try to perfect those aspects of our personality that can help us better deal with the world, better maneuver in the world. Recently, after detaching from a situation and really taking an objective view, I was able to identify comfort as the underlying source of a lot of issues. Comfort definitely has been the source of a lot of issues that I have been facing in my life here recently. I've just gotten comfortable to a certain way of life. I'm not, afraid to admit it. I'm not perfect, and you guys know that. To be human means to not be perfect. Because that's just the way it is. And like I've said earlier, like I said in the beginning of the podcast, it's from 25 to 30. It has just been a much different period in my life. But even though it's a different dog, it's the same dog. If that makes any sense. I'm kind of talking in circles or old man proverbs, kind of like that one Kobe Bryant commercial. I don't know if everybody has seen it or not, but Kanye West asked Kobe Bryant a question, and he was like, he's the same dog but a different beast, or the same animal but a different beast. And Kanye didn't know what that meant, and a lot of people still don't know what that means to that day. But it's kind of something that when you go through some things, you kind of understand it. Like, I, it's the same dog, it's just a different beast. A different stage of my life requires a different me. Like, bringing kids into the world requires you to be completely different. If you're going to be in your kid's life in a productive or a exemplary fashion, or in any way that's going to be conducive to that child growing up in what I would call a successful environment, or an environment that would be conducive to that child going forth and implementing those same successful habits on future generations, whether it be your grandkids or not, it's going to require a different you. I don't see how people have kids and remain the same. Like, so many aspects of my character, so many aspects of my personality have died since I had kids that I don't care to bring back up. And I'm honestly thankful, for having my daughters, because they've made me change so much. But I'm still that dog. I'm just a different beast. There's aspects of my character that have taken form and taken shape because of my daughters. There are certain aspects of my character that have taken a back seat, while others have taken a front seat, and I'm still pulling more. So it's just very interesting to see how things evolve and I evolve over time. So for the past 2 weeks or so, I have made an intentional effort to seek discomfort. So what does this intentional effort to seek discomfort look like? Well, I've been very, very strict with my eating, my meal planning, my caloric restriction and my caloric deficit, my intermittent fasting, my working out, trying to work out at least, 5 to 6 days a week, making time for things I need to do regardless of how I feel. Sometimes that's working out, sometimes that's running, sometimes that's making a podcast. I might be late at night, I might not feel like doing it, but I made a commitment to myself that I was going to release a podcast every Monday and Friday. So, hey, regardless of how I feel, I'm going to do it. Whether it's the last thing I do or the first thing I do, I'm still going to do it. And lastly, holding myself accountable. Whether it's to read a certain amount of pages each day, whether it's to, help somebody out somehow, some way, whether it's to, do something that moves me closer to my dream, closer to my goals, help my family out, help somebody in distress, whatever I can do to, make life better for myself, for someone else, that, because that's my goal ultimately. I'm holding myself accountable to that goal, every day. I'm not walking out the house just trying to live on autopilot. I'm trying to figure out how I can impact somebody's life positively today. And that may include making myself better, by working out, by being consistent. So then when the time comes that I gotta interact with somebody in whatever form, I can be my best self. And holding myself accountable has been a real big part of that journey. Taking these courses of action have caused me to work long hours, have a constant awareness of my surroundings, and be cognizant of my time. I've been aware of my surroundings, both in a physical sense and in like a spiritual sense. Hey, there's only 24 hours in a day. How am I going to break it up? What can I do to be the most effective in both my career and in my business? How can I put that to the forefront of, you know, the things that I do, living purposefully, trying to, get my business up and running, get it running by itself, where it's kind of just automated and where I can get more people coming in, help more people, serve the community. How can I do it? I'm constantly aware of that time, that I'm breaking out in the day and my surroundings. Like, hey, I'm not doing nothing right now. What could I do to make myself more successful? How can I place myself, whether that'll be physically, emotionally, spiritually? How can I place myself in a different setting or a different surrounding to just put myself in a space for creativity or set myself up for success, and just honing my skills of awareness, whether again that's physical, emotional, spiritual. Like, how do I feel? Why do I feel this way? What perspective do I have in reference to what has happened to me, either present or in the past, that is making me feel this way right now? What traumas am I going through? What traumas do I have to deal with? It's just being conscious of all these things, in order to develop myself into, break that cycle of just getting comfortable and getting complacent. Because complacency kills. You think it won't happen to you, or you think, I could just take this day off, or you think, I could just eat this cheat meal. I've been good on my diet for a week, and then bam, it's been 5 weeks and you're still not hitting your weight goal, or you take a day off and then that day off turns into 2 weeks. And it's just being aware, being cognizant of your surroundings. You're being aware of the situations internally and externally that you're exposing yourself to and that life is putting you through. And time, because time is our most precious commodity. Once we run out of time, that's it. You run out of money, you can always get that back. You anything else you can get back, but time is final. Once it's gone, it's gone. You can't get it back. There's only 24 hours in a day, and everybody has that same 24 hours. It's how we use it and manipulate it that determines our success in life and how close or far away we are from our dreams. So making these types of decisions and taking these courses of action has caused a lot of stress in my life, naturally, because I'm leaving my comfort zone. And when you leave your comfort zone, when your body departs from something that is used to doing, that's commonplace for your body to do, it can get uncomfortable, it can get stressful. But honestly, it's a place that I needed to go back to. I needed the reminder, and all in all, I feel good. I didn't die, I'm still alive, even though I didn't sleep as much as I wanted to, even though I was doing something I didn't want to do. I'm still moving close to my dreams because of a little bit of stress I put myself through. So the way I look at it, either I could have been stressed out not doing what I wanted to do, or not doing what I didn't want to do, or I could have not done what I did, or have done what I'm doing, and then I could have been sitting at home being lazy, not doing anything, and being stressed out because I'm facing the consequences of the decisions that I didn't make, if that makes sense. Like, for instance, if you have a bill or if you're having money issues, and again, there's 24 hours in a day, you only work 8 or whatever, you sleep 6, so you still got some more time in the day, and you're sitting around the house like, oh man, I don't got enough money, how am I gonna pay these bills and stuff like that. And I know things come up in life and stuff, but you gotta ask yourself, why am I not working? Why don't I have a side hustle? If I got money problems, I can afford to be sitting on this couch watching Netflix. I can't afford to be at the club or at the bar, going crazy. I need to be getting after it. I need to be, staying up late, trying to get after it, trying to improve my position, whatever that may be. And I just use money because that's a commonality. A lot of people are having money issues. Part of that is because of, lack of knowledge. It might be lack of discipline, and it just might be because you need to, change careers or change the environment that you're in because it's not conducive to success. But stress isn't always a bad thing. People say I'm stressed out, and normally that's with a negative connotation to it. Like we mean that in a bad way. But when you go to the gym, you stress your body out. When you go running, you stress your body out. Stress doesn't have to be bad. Again, I think that most of the power, the negative energy that comes from stress is because of the connotation of the meaning that we put on the experience that's causing us to stress out. And then that stress is having, physical implications on our body, whatever those may be. So again, this is just another episode on how this podcast, the stuff we talk about, it all relates to one another. It's not different. It's not isolated. It's not this happens to me and nobody else is going through it. We're all in this fight together. We're all in the war against ourselves. And each day is a different battle. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But, when you win, put it in your cookie jar. Use that to build your confidence. Have that in the back of your mind that whenever you're going through struggles and hardships, you can always pull that to the forefront and be like, hey, I've been through this. I've won this battle already. I just got to do the same thing. Or maybe you need to revamp it and do something different. And when you take those L's, don't beat yourself up. It's a lesson. What could you have done better? What did you do wrong? Detach from the situation. Look at it logically. Get away from the emotional perspective because the emotions can be blinding at sometimes. So, again, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I enjoyed doing it. It's good to talk to you guys because I'm learning and I'm making connections just as much as I hope I'm imparting them on you. But I hope you have a good day. Take it easy. Till next time.